Hello everybody and welcome to Lush and Salty Aquariums. My name is Stefan and thank you for coming to the channel. We're at my 12-gallon long bookshelf aquarium and I just wanted to do an overview of this aquarium and talk to you in no particular order about some of the things I really am happy with as far as the system goes. And as I've said before, big fan of growing plants outside of the water, in particular plants that may start out as aquatic plants and then make their way up, but as well as just house plants made from cuttings like this pothos here, a couple different varieties, variegated golden pothos, literally just sticking in clipping from the end of that house plant, and then over time it will send roots down and start to grow really quite fast actually, and it's just a beautiful way to expand what is already a fabulous hobby and just make it even more fantastic. I like to put little house plants outside and then around these aquariums, little still lifes, have some fun. Nothing's permanent or written in stone. I've got some antique aquarium decor here, $5 house plant there, an extra piece of black lava rock here, which picks up the stone that I used in this aquarium. You can't see it very much, but there's a lovely piece of it there that has all kinds, it looks almost like veins of gold in that. It's just a neat particular specimen of black lava rock that has different color forms in it as well. Cryptocorn, one of my favorite plants, is the predominant aquatic plant in this particular aquarium. At least it's the one that has thrived the most up until now, and so as is my way, I go with what works, and in this tank cryptocorn definitely is working for me and for this system. So you now have a forest of it, and there's several different varieties in here. I'm not sure which one is which. I will highlight there is a pink flamingo, which used to be rare and expensive. That's a small one there, and there's another one there. And these are probably Wendete green and red varieties. There's probably some crypt parva in here. There's a little bit of hair grass, which is doing surprisingly well given how intermittent the light will be for that plant, and that plant likes high light and CO2, and while I do use CO2 in this tank, it's not generally evenly distributed because of the intense amount of plant growth and the fact that this is a long aquarium. So the CO2 goes in down there, and while I have it placed strategically by the outflow, I still think by the time it makes its way down here, it's not in any particular strong dosage. Be that as it may, the dwarf hairgrass is doing nice in this aquarium, and I like that it's just a little bit of it here and there as opposed to a carpet. And it's a good thing I like that, because there's no chance in hell I'd be able to get a carpet of pretty much anything at this point because of the cryptocorn forest that you see here. There are stem plants in the back as well, some simple rotala. It's hard to see through all these leaf fronds. I've got some red roof floaters, some duckweed, and a little bit of frog bit floating about at the top. Here's a wonderful example of the root growth from this pothos clipping here, and you can see without anything in the way, this was just a clip, a 2-inch clip that I slipped on the side of the tank, and this white, fabulous, healthy root growth is not only a wonderful way to pull nutrients out of the water column, nitrates, ammonia, whatever it is that plants feed on, that they can take from the water column is going to be a win for you, because whatever's in that water column that they're taking has generally been pooped and peed by your creatures. So that's a win. But even if they didn't do that, it's still badass. Such a beautiful, cool way to expand on this fabulous hobby. I can't stress it enough, which is why I've already mentioned that twice. What else do we have in here? Java ferns, some epiphytes, things that grow on rock and wood, not in the ground. You see the Java fern has made its way all throughout the piece of spider wood and that black lava rock that I mentioned earlier. I'm not usually a big fan of Java fern. I find that it struggles and gets brown and kind of mottled and crappy for me, but in this particular aquarium it's doing nicely, so I'm super happy. In the back there's a really nice healthy bunch of Anubias. You don't really see it anymore, but it's back there, and it's in the flow of the outflow of this canister filter. You can maybe see some of the really deep, dark, luscious green leaves of it back there. I'm probably going to have to make some clippings of that because I need some Anubias in another tank. It's hard to reach back there, so I've just left well enough alone, and this tank is pretty much a study of leaving well enough alone. I do plenty of clippings and trimmings, and I take care of it at a high level, you know, cleaning the filter regularly, water changes regularly, water checks regularly, but I don't do a lot in terms of rearranging or redoing anything because everything is so great or performing great for me here. The moss on top of this piece of driftwood that I just set on top of the aquarium a year ago, I added some moss, sprayed it a bunch of times, and now it's just doing its thing, and it grows into the water in and out, and so the water wicks up it and keeps it moist. It will get dark green, it will get yellow, it will do what moss does in the wild, kind of expand and contract, but always kind of growing and staying alive. So cool, so cool. I love that. I actually took a piece of spider wood that was just in a box, and I threw it over the top here, likewise back there, and you know, it just adds to the overall aquascape or cinescape or whatever, you know, hardscape, the overall look of this aquarium. Just very pleasing aesthetic, and yet it's kind of sloppy and natural. I just literally placed these pieces of wood on top of the glass, and if they didn't fall over, great, that was that. The fish I have in here have remained the same for some time. I've got a group of chili rasbora. Let me see if I can find any of them, surprisingly. So that's not one of those. That's a neon green rasbora or neon blue. There's a blue and green variety of that micro rasbora, and I have a group of about 8. And I have a group of about 8 chili rasbora, and there's one that you see there. I've also got some margaritas pencilfish in here, and those 3 species get along really, really well together. Very peaceful, very non-aggressive to each other and one another. And normally I do get a more pronounced view of them, but for whatever reason I chose to film during a period when they're more retiring for me. You can see little glimpses of them back there. I'm willing to compromise not seeing as much of their intense color for the sake of having this canopy and all of these plants. You know, you can't have complete full color fish if you're blocking 70% of the light from getting down to their iridescent bodies. Now in black water, that is somewhat, you know, the opposite holds true, whereas the darker water will accentuate the colors of your fish, but that's different dynamics at play. Here, they're in the shade. They love being underneath this piece of driftwood, Ergo, I don't see their brilliant color as much as I would elsewhere in a more open aquarium or even at the fish store. But I know they're super happy. I give these micro rasboras live baby brine shrimp almost at least once every couple of days, and then I use the Aquarium Co-op fry food, and occasionally I'll just grind something up in between my fingers and sprinkle it along the top, and that's how I take care of these fish. They love baby brine shrimp, and they're such tiny fish, even in their full-grown state, that that's a perfect food for them. So I hope you appreciated this look-see at one of my favorite aquariums. As always, everybody, keep your hands in the tank, and ciao for now.